Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now a lot of you will recognise this piece as being one of the two Black Locust bowls we part-turned in August last year. We had great fun turning this under a black light because Black Locust is the most UV fluorescent wood in the world. Now what we're going to do today is we're going to finish it off, but also we're going to give it a very unique inlay, which again I don't think has ever been done. So stick with me and I'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, now we part-turn bowls purely so we can get them to dry quicker. If you were to leave this as half a log, you'd be looking at 4 or 5 years, maybe even 6 years before it was fully dry. If we turn it down to a maximum of about 1 inch thick, then as long as it's kept in the right conditions, we can turn it within a few months. This one's been drying since August last year, so it should be really quite ready now for us to finish off. Now the first thing we've got to do is mount it into the jaws so we can sort out the tenon, so we can turn it round and start finishing it off properly. Okay, I'll get this set up and I shall bring you back in a second. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is just to mark out where we're going to be cutting a very small recess. This is just so we can turn it around and hold it in the jaws. We're not going to make it very deep. It's just there long enough so we can start sorting out the outside. That's all that's needed. Now we can just quickly take this out, close the jaws a bit, and lock it in. Okay, we've got it turned around, it's good and secure in the jaws, so you can pick up the speed to about 650, 660 RPM. We're just going to start making it round, we're going to sort out the base, and we're going to do it under a black light, just for fun. Alexa, turn off workshop lights. Alexa, turn on workshop lights. That went smoothly. That was quite a lot of fun. Right, it's a little bit of fine detail to mess around with on the actual shape on the outside, but I put a little lip in there as well, just to give it a bit of detail. Right, I shall just quickly clean up the rest of this, and I shall mark out for a recess and put that in. The other good thing about part-turning bowls, when it comes to finishing them off, you can get them done pretty quickly. Okay, I'm going to set up for sanding. I'll let you watch a bit of it, and I shall bring you back when that's done. We can turn this around and start having some real fun. Okay, sanding went beautifully. I can tell already that this is going to take quite a shine. This really is quite a dense wood. There's a beautiful contrast between the sapwood and the heartwood. It's kind of like a lighter version of laburnum, if you've ever turned that. I know this is quite a common tree in America, where it originates from, but in the UK it's okay, but we don't get an awful lot for turning. There are a few pieces turn up every now and then, but it's not like a standard material that we can buy for turning on a regular basis. Right, I'm going to get some isopropyl alcohol and give this a wipe down. Okay, we'll let that evaporate. And then I'm going to go on with a bit of abrasive paste just to try and fine up this surface so we can get a better shine on it. Okay, that's all nicely evaporated. I'm going on with the True Grit abrasive paste. I'm going to apply this in the usual way, start off slowly to rub it in, and then we're going to build at speed. As the speed increases, it breaks down the particles in the grit, and that's what gives us a finer and finer surface. Okay, isopropyl alcohol again, just to wipe off any excess. We don't want that left on the surface when we're applying the final finishes. Again, let that evaporate. Okay, now we're going to go on with a standard shellac sealer. Okay, I'll let this dry, then I'll quickly take it back with a very, very high grit Scotch pad. And then we'll put the final finish on. Now that itself is a very, very nice finish. Would normally be okay, but I'm just going to go over the top with the shine juice I make up, which is linseed oil and shellac. And we can put this on while the piece is spinning and just hold it against to it. Okay, right, let's turn this round. Okay, we're all turned round. First of all, I'm just going to flatten off this top, and then we're just going to sort out the inside. We're not going to sand anything yet because we need to be able to cut an inlay in here and start preparing for that. Okay, that's all sorted. Now I just need to mark out where I want the inlay to be. We shall take that out, and then we're going to seal the inside of it with a bit of shellac. That's just to ensure when we use the resin on the inlay and the other thing, which I'm not mentioning yet, it won't run through and start staining the outside walls. Okay, I'm going to sand and seal this. I shall bring you back for the next stage. Okay, there's our piece ready to accept the inlay. I've sanded round and I've put some shellac in there as well, just to make sure that that will hold the resin when it goes in and doesn't start seeping into the grain of the wood. Right, so we'll keep that to one side. Okay, so what we're going to be using for this inlay is this stuff. This is French chalk. Builders use it a lot, or woodcrafters, because it'll write on anything. It's relatively cheap, and basically it's soapstone. If you were to wet it, you can see the raw stone underneath, and there's generally some interesting colours under there. Now, I have used this stuff before, and it really does produce quite an interesting look. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a sort of mosaic pattern with this by cutting it up into little pieces like this, and then inlaying it into the bowl in a random pattern going round. Okay, between these pieces we're going to be adding a resin to hold them all together and to act as a nice border. Right, so first thing to do is to start chopping this up. Now it breaks very easily, and I'm just using these things just to nibble away bits like that. And because it does leave a bit of a rough edge, I'm just getting a little disc of sandpaper, giving it a quick rub. And that gives us a nicely trimmed little piece. I'll take off the sharp edges so it's slightly more rounded. There you go. One piece done. Quite a few more to do. I'll get on with this and I shall bring you back when I've got enough to fill the piece. Okay, so we've sanded all these edges down and I've given them a clean as well to get all the loose dust off them. So the next stage is first of all, we're going to mix a bit of resin in here. We don't need an awful lot. So I'm just going to mix it up about 80 milliliters, which will be more than sufficient. Pour a small amount into the prepared inlay and then start creating a mosaic with our small pieces of limestone. Sounds easy, doesn't it? Let's find out. The resin I'm using is the Let's Resin normal standard casting epoxy. We don't need a deep pour for this, so the standard casting resin is going to be absolutely fine. Now this one is mixed in equal ratios, so I'm going to pump in 40 milliliters of each one. Okay, that's enough. So I'm going to mix these together for a couple of minutes. And then I'm going to colour this. Now, the mosaic tiles that we're using, or that we've made up, are quite light, so I'm just going to use a black dye, just so they can stand out a little bit against the background. Now we're going to be using the Let's Resin opaque resin pigments. So I do want quite a heavy dye in this. I don't want any to be able to see any of the wood in the background. See how that does? Okay, yeah, that looks pretty good. Now I'm just going to pour a small amount into this, just to allow me to place the tiles in and to get them to stay in place once positioned. I have a feeling that once they're in position, adding more resin is going to be a little bit problematic. So as we've already finished the outside, if I'm going to spill anything, I'm going to spill it on the inside and not the outside. Okay, right, I'm going to coax this to run all the way around and let it settle. If I need to add a bit more, I will do. Okay, right, what I'm going to do now is, where it's up to the edge here, start positioning these pieces, start positioning these tiles, and that will push the resin out and back round. Now I'm not going to go for any specific type of pattern here. It's just going to be a case of seeing what evolves. Right, I think I'm going to add some more resin because it's not pushing it out as I thought it would. As I've never done this before, it's always a case of needing a bit of experimentation to get the process correct. last piece. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. Add in the resin first, I think was definitely the right idea. To try and position these or glue them in place and then add resin would be an absolute logistical nightmare. So doing it this way, I think has worked pretty well. The fact that I've not had to remove any resin because of the amount displaced by the pieces is more luck than judgment, but I think we've done pretty well. Okay, right, I'm going to put this somewhere safe to dry overnight, and then we can come back tomorrow and carry on. Okay, we're back on the lathe. The drying process has not been kind to this Black Locust. It has lost a little bit of its shape, which can happen. It may need a little bit longer time to dry, but I'm sure we're going to be fine. I'm just going to very, very carefully now start to turn down the soapstone. It won't put up much resistance. Soapstone is very, very soft. The resin is going to put up far more resistance than the actual soapstone it will itself. So we'll get that faced off, we'll realign the center, get that cleaned up, and then we can sand. It looks looking pretty good. I do have a face mask on in case you were wondering, because the powder coming off this soapstone is very, very fine. Okay, I think one more pass across there should do it, and then we'll true up the inside. Okay, now I should do that. Right, I'm going to start sanding. I'll let you watch a bit of it. I should bring you back when we're done. Okay, I'm going to quickly put on my workshop extraction for a little while to get rid of the dust in the atmosphere. Then we'll come back, give it a wipe over with isopropyl, and then start applying the rest of the finishes. Okay. I think this is going to be quite nice. Lovely. Right, we'll let this dry, and then we'll come back with a abrasive paste, then a sealer, and then on to the final finish. Okay, that's all dry. Same as before. Start off slowly, buff it in at slowly higher and higher speeds. Gives a nice fine surface. We'll clean this up again with isopropyl. Again, we'll let it dry. Shellac sealer. Well, we're going to let this dry, and then we're going to cut it back with an abrasive pad, about a 2000 grit. And I'll get it ready for the final coat. Now for the final coat of shine juice. Remember, we apply this while the piece is spinning. Okay, I think it's time we took a look at what we've done. There we go. Black Locust and Soapstone Inlay. Now, ideally, if I was to do this again, I wouldn't use a part-turn bowl, mainly because we do get a little bit of movement, and these two areas here, I'm not sure if you can see on the video, have become almost transparent because the inlay is getting quite thin. If I was to take one more pass, then a lot of this would disappear into just normal basswood. But apart from that, it really is quite a striking piece. These areas here where it's a nice thick inlay really are quite stunning. So I think I will be trying this again, but I'm going to use a standard bowl blank. And I would advise you to have a go as well, because it's really not that hard. If you just remember a few basics, make sure you put resin into the inlay first before you put the chipped up soapstone. It really is quite easy to do. Remember, this stuff is called French chalk. It's easy to get hold of pretty much everywhere, and it isn't that expensive as well. I think I bought about 144 sticks for about £5–6, and that's done me 2 pieces, and I've still got a fair amount left. I hope you've enjoyed this one. It's certainly been an awful lot of fun to do. If you want to have a go at this yourself, then the resin I use is available with a discount code in the links below. In fact, all the stuff I use, the glues, the tools, everything like that, you'll find descriptions of everything in the description of the video. But if you have liked it, I'd love a like and subscribe, and if you could share it as well, then that would be absolutely amazing. Remember, if you leave a comment as well, then you are going to be entered into the next giveaway, whenever that is. Apart from that, thank you very much indeed for watching, and I shall see you next time. Thank you.